Cocktail CEO here, and I went ahead and put this business savvy tip together for all you businesses that sell products. So there's really two primary ways to sell products. And the first way is to sell on what's called margin. So the margin business makes money by selling a smaller quantity of products at a higher profit margin, and they tend to be a little bit more expensive of products as well, and not necessarily focused on selling to mass, the mass market. So think of some examples of this would be some like high-end designer products like maybe your Tory Burch, Louis Vuitton, high-end shoes, accessories, handbags, that sort of thing. Also, another example is think of like luxury experiences, like say let's say your spas. Also, you can think of like high-end cosmetics. And another example, doesn't necessarily be high-end, but is in selling into a niche. So for example, I know of a company that actually, it's a fishing gear company that sells for outdoor and fishing enthusiasts. Started out by selling some products at a 400% margin, which is a fantastic margin. And they really did that just because they identified a niche where there was a demand for that, and because there wasn't really any competition, they could charge those higher profit margins. The second way to sell products is on volume. So just as it sounds, the way you make money in this model is really selling a large quantity of products, typically at a lower cost and a lower margin. In some cases, razor thin margins. And these are products that are typically sold to the mass market. And you can think of some examples here are, of course, your Walmart works on this model. A couple other examples are, any of your big box retail, and then also grocery stores. So all of these are examples. They have to sell a large quantity of products, a lot of different products, and they have to have a lot of high shelf turnover, meaning they're really moving off the shelf quickly. So yeah, I see some businesses inadvertently getting caught up in trying to do both of these models and not even realizing it. And it's really difficult because these are two very, very different models. There's a learning curve that comes with each of them, and they could really suck up a lot of your resources. But there have been some companies that do play in both of these spaces. Think of, these tend to be some like high-end companies or designers that started out in the margin space, kind of moved downstream into the volume space, especially when the recession hit and companies were trying to figure out, a lot of customers were tightening up their spending and companies were trying to figure out new ways to really grow their market share. A lot of companies kind of, moved downstream into this space. And, think of companies like Vera Wang, Jonathan Adler, Isaac Mizrahi, who partnered with some big box retailers like Target, also some other companies that partnered with some of the home shopping channels to really introduce, what they did is just introduce a lower priced product and offering that into the mass market. So you really need to get clear on which model you're working on. Are you working on margin or volume, and which one you're focusing on? It's going to make things much, much easier, especially if you're starting out or you're a fairly young company. Focusing on one of these and doing it really well is important. And one last thing, you should absolutely, once you identify your revenue target for the year, work backwards and figure out like how many products do you need to sell per year, per quarter, per month, and per week. And that's going to help put into clearer focus of whether you need to be working on, it's a margin or a volume model. So I'd love to hear your comments and share, what are you going to focus on this year? So please, share your comments and let me know. I'd love to hear what steps you're going to take to, make this happen. And here's to being one step closer to having a monumental year. I'll see you soon.